Hello, everyone, and happy New Year's Eve. If you are, in fact, watching this on New Year's Eve, I hope you are, because this is our New Year's Eve special. I figured, what a way to go out of 2023, a very chaotic year in the film industry, so let's talk about a film, the final film I'll talk about this year, that is just one of the most insane things ever made. New Year's Eve is the name of this film, a perfect little joy of a movie. Now, I'd have to really sit down and think about it. This this may be the it's definitely the most bizarre film we've talked about on Movie Tales. It's definitely in the bottom 5, bottom 3, is it the worst one? Is New Year's Eve the worst movie I'm going to talk about on this channel? Maybe. This was abysmal. This was just a lot of things missing the mark. I mean, you have a writer who worked on Valentine's Day before this, with Gary Marshall, of course. So you got like a double pairing, another Marshall feature. And Valentine's Day, not any better than this one, but at least you can like spin it off at like, we got away with it the first time. There's no reason for it. And we're skipping Valentine's Day. I don't need to talk about that one, because who cares? It's Valentine's Day. People are in love. But it's New Year's Eve. Anything can happen. You know, it's New York City. We're going to see a city of love in a time when all of like downtown gets turned into like a big center for people to watch a ball drop. I'm not from New York. I don't know if this matters. I guess it does. Ryan Seacrest can show up and do his thing. I'm sure they filmed on location for the actual New Year's Eve, whatever they do down there, for a minute. Like, because they got Seacrest on a stage. Like, that can't be easy. Or is it? What does he have really going on? It's 2011. It's not the height of Seacrest, but it's like he's still like a joke, you know, where you could make a reference to somebody named Ryan Seacrest and the general populace would still understand what you're talking about. So that's like good, I guess, right? There's just so much about this film that's just whack. You know, a writer who has never worked on any major movie after this, sorry to say, I guess. I don't think you deserve to, because this is a really bad script with terrible characters and just poorly made. Gary Marshall, 76 when this movie comes out, clearly a man of the people. Him making this movie does seem like the De Niro scenes where you're like, just let me die. Let me get this out and then I could die. Not happily, but just die. And I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty nice. Oh, man. I thought it'd be fun to talk about this movie because it's New Year's Eve. It could come out on New Year's Eve. The symmetry, the fun. And there's maybe other movies that would have been more enjoyable to talk about, like the backlog. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to go into 2024 hoping to talk about. But before that, let's just get this one out of here. So this might be a little different than the standard videos we've done for Movie Tales, solely because there's no plot to this. It's vignettes. And most of them are like happy ending and love vignettes. And some of them are truly insane. Like egregiously insane. Like John Lithgow sitting in a huge office telling Michelle Pfeiffer she can't get a raise because he's busy playing Angry Birds. Insane. How 2012 can you get? You know, like we're coming into this new year. We haven't had an Avengers movie yet. Like the world's just different. And it kind of sucks. And to think that this meant anything to anybody is truly insane, because this is perhaps the most stupid film ever put to screen, and it's truly uninspired on every level. So I'm not even going to like really get into this. I'm going to whip out my phone, and what we're going to do, instead of like actually breaking down the plot, I'm going to look at the cast list on Google, and we're going to go through the entire cast and talk about like their chunks of the story and how they wrap up. So the top build, according to Google, is Michelle Pfeiffer and Zac Efron, who coincidentally, they're going to be in the thumbnail for this video. They share screen time together. Zac Efron's is like a Postmates guy or something. He's like a delivery guy that you could hire out to deliver stuff for you. Efron slowly moving away from like the youthful guy from the High School Musical stuff. He's breaking out. He's a real film star now. Look at his 2011 haircut and how skinny and small he is. He's a really small guy in this movie, and that's nothing, but he like delivers stuff to an office, and Michelle Pfeiffer is just quirky and uncomfortable and like neurotic and nervous and can't really talk, and she wants to do more of her life. And when it finds out she's not getting like a raise to go on the vacation she already booked off, she quits her job. And then she hires Zac Efron because it's New Year's Eve and she's done nothing with her life to take her on a quest to complete the things she wished she'd done. So they travel New York City. They go to like a big spa. They go to like a stage where she can pretend she's like in a production or something. They travel around fountains. They ride on a little moped. It's truly insane. It's a truly insane thing to see happen, because you're like, who is the person that decided this would be like the good pairing? Is it the main? It's not really like the main story. I think like Swank or Duhamel's the main story. I don't know, but just to see these two show up and they do stuff together, and the entire time you're like, there is chemistry here. Is it because they're both really good actors and are doing a lot of little? I have 3 people in this movie I think did actually a good job with the acting stuff. I guess we could get that now, because my first one is Michelle Pfeiffer. She's actually playing a character who has like neuroses and isn't good at like talking or acting. She seems nervous. I love the end of the movie where it's like the credits and she's like doing a really stiff dancing with Efron. That's really funny. She seems uncomfortable at every moment. It's an actual character. That's pretty exciting. The second one, Yeardley Smith. She's in here for one sequence and she's just like, oh, love, isn't that grand? And I'm like, that is believable. So Yeardley Smith, we have talked about 2 Yeardley Smith movies on this thing now, which is really insane to think about. Like, why is that? Why is she a staple on this now? I don't understand why Movie Tales goes to Yeardley Smith movies. The third one is Sarah Paulson, who's in like 4 sequences, maybe for 20 seconds each time. And you just like, she's going to be a real actress one day. And some of the people she's working against are not going to be. And that's insanity. We'll get to her in a minute. But the Michelle Pfeiffer stuff, she's great. Efron's young. They kiss at the end on New Year's because he's like, I learned a lesson today. I don't want to be the person I've always been. I don't want to be like the cool, fun uncle. I want to be like a serious man and date this woman who's like 29 years older than me, I guess, is the lesson. I mean, I'd believe it. Good lesson. Next up is Robert De Niro. He's in a hospital bed the whole movie, and he's like, I don't want to die until I see the ball drop. Too much pressure on New Year's, man. That's insane. We learn later why that is. We'll get back to that when it's like the big reveal happens, whatever. He wants to die. Carrie always is his doctor, and he's like, sucks, man, if you die before that. I don't know. Shit, dude. And then his nurse is also Halle Berry, and you're like, okay, why did she sign up to this? And then we'll just get to her story right now because it means nothing. Her husband is like overseas, and it's Common, so they talk on screen. Common clearly filming on a different day, not talking to anybody specifically. No reaction from him, like they just shot his head and put an inanimate body. What the hell was that? But De Niro, his daughter comes to visit him eventually because it's like the one thing he had wrong with his life, and they spend some time watching the ball drop, and then he instantly dies. Like, the ball drops and then he's dead. And you're like, that is truly an insane thing to happen in this movie. I have no words to describe just how weird that is. And De Niro, look, he loves a paycheck where he just gets to sit. I think that's amazing. And I want him to sit in every movie because I think he's good at sitting. Hilary Swank is next on the list. She, I guess, is the main character. She's like the vice president of the Times Square Alliance. So she's in charge of making sure the ball drops. But wouldn't you know it, she's a little crazy herself. She doesn't know how to like go upstairs because it's high up and it's scary, so someone has to carry her. She's like late to an important date or something. And it's her big break and she doesn't want to screw it up, but the ball stops working. And we have to fix it. So she plays with a couple of different actors. The first one she plays off of is Ludacris, who delivers each line like he would rather be anywhere else, and I can't blame him. I've never seen someone less want to do something in their lives than be in this room doing this very thing. It's crazy. She has a scene where she talks to the president of the Times Square Alliance, played by Matthew Broderick, and his name is Buellerton. We're not even pretending anymore. And that was not the most egregious thing I saw in this movie, but it was where I went, I guess in 2011 we could get away with this. But if you tried this today, I would run onto the screen and punch everybody involved, because that is stupid and dumb. And they play it up with like, oh, she's late to like meeting a guy or something, like a regret she had, and it connects to another story you think is going to connect later, but no, she's actually the daughter of Niro, and when the ball drops, she's with him when he dies in the hospital. Is that good? Hilary Swank. Do you remember when we tried to make her a big star? 2-time Oscar winner Hilary Swank. She was fine. The next actor we have to talk about is Josh Duhamel. Do you remember that week, or that year, I should say, when, like, this is such a 2011 movie because half the cast is just, like, people we wanted to make happen in that era. And we'll get to all their stories, but, like, Katherine Heigl, Jessica Biel, Ashton Kutcher, Josh Duhamel, like, all these people, you're like, they're going to be big. We know what to do with them, and then they don't become anything. And sometimes they support Danny Masterson, and it's like, okay, whatever. But Josh Duhamel, we open up with him. He's on the outskirts of New York. He's in a church. His best friend just got married. Immediately after his best friend gets married, he's like, don't you worry, Josh Duhamel, you're going to fall in love. He's like, maybe, but he's got to go do a speech at a thing, so he has to leave right away. But he crashes his car because his GPS doesn't know what New York is. Fart, funny, jokes, good time. So he has to get a ride with, like, the priest of the church and his family, and he's married to Yeardley Smith, so he announces, like, last New Year's Eve, I met, like, a really nice girl, and she left me a note saying, like, if you still love me in a year, come back to this place, and we'll love each other forever, because it's true love. So then his plot becomes, like, is he going to be, like, the swinging bachelor forever, or is he going to settle down with this, like, mysterious unknown woman, who we think is Hilary Swank, but it's not. He plays this with the charisma of, like, a dumb guy, and I guess that's accurate. Like, the dumb guy has to learn his lesson. I think we kind of did that in Valentine's Day, too, where, like, there's, like, this, football player. He's, like, a swinging bachelor. Is he going to settle down? Turns out he's gay, and he's, like, in a relationship with the guy on the plane. I might be thinking of a completely different movie than that one, but I don't know. Maybe that's the one I'm talking about. What's next? Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl in the weirdest plot of this movie. Let's break it down right away. She runs a catering service because she, like, caters big affairs. She has 2 employees for her. Coincidentally, like, the 2 characters of color outside of Ludacris and Common, if you could call them characters as opposed to these 2 men who just say their lines and then go home. You have Sofia Vergara, who is like, I'm sexy and I'm horny and I know Bon Jovi's coming. And then Russell Peters, who's like, I know it's a joke of this accent I'm doing, so it's kind of funny, right? Wink, wink. Russell Peters, another guy, right out of 2011. But she runs this catering company, and she's catering this affair where Jensen is playing. And Jensen is the Bon Jovi character. John Bon Jovi plays somebody that's not himself in this movie, some guy named Jensen. Okay, sure, why not just say you're playing Bon Jovi? It doesn't matter. But Katherine Heigl was actually dating Bon Jovi in this movie, and you think that'd be weird because you're like, Bon Jovi, he's old, right? He's 49 when he makes this, which blew me away because every time I think of Bon Jovi, I'm like, you're older than you are, but you're in your 60s when the rest of these cats are like in their 70s, so you're actually like younger than them, and that weirded me out for some reason. Very strange. But he proposed, but he backed out because, like, he couldn't commit because of his tour or something. So they have, like, a strained relationship. And Sofia Vergara's like, hey, I'll, ride the Bon Jovi train, slippery when wet. Am I right? Whatever. I don't know. Funny. And then, so he's going to perform at this function. It's also the function Duhamel has to do the speech for. And Heigl's catering it. Yeah, and it's whatever. Next on our list, this will be a fun one to bring up. Abigail Breslin. She plays the daughter of Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's like an overbearing mom who's like, you can't go out on New Year's Eve. I want to stay in and play with you or something. She's like, Mom, the hot kid from Wizards of Waverly Place wants to kiss me, Mom. You gotta let me go out, Mom. What's that kid's name? Austin or something? Max Austin? It doesn't matter. Wizards of Waverly Place kid is hanging out with his friends. He wants to kiss Abigail Breslin, so she sneaks out to go hang out with her friends. Now, this is written by a woman. This is a movie written by a woman. And I think you can really get a sense that a woman wrote this in the sequence That is Abigail Breslin playing a canonically 15-year-old character in this movie, lifting up her shirt, showing her bra, and saying to her mom, "This isn't for training," because she's a grown woman. You can definitely tell this was written by a female in a sequence like that. What the hell? That was that. I'm not on board with any of this movie, but I see that I'm like, what are we doing? Did we really have to spend a sequence showing Abigail Breslin, who was young in this movie, lifting her shirt? Very strange. And that could lead us to Sarah Jessica Parker, who, surprise, she's actually the one that Josh Duhamel wants to meet. It's not Hilary Swank. She's going to go watch her father die on top of a hospital. We're actually going to see the love story of the century. The guy from one of the Transformers, maybe, and just like that's Own, but like a decade before that, Sarah Jessica Parker. They're going to kiss. They're going to be happy because she was reckless in her day. And guess what? She's also the sister to Zac Efron's character. They have to be 15 years apart at the latest. It's got to be more. Because Efron at this era, he's playing like he's 24. And that's like... And then you could say Pfeiffer's playing like she's 55. And then at that era, I don't like... Because like... I guess it would make sense if like Sarah Jessica Parker was playing 30-ish. Mid-30s-ish. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. What other characters do we have in here? Okay, here's a fun one. This can knock off a couple characters because I don't want to talk about Bon Jovi. He's a bad actor. He's not an actor, but he sings a couple songs in here that are kind of holiday themed. It doesn't matter. Jessica Biel's in this movie. She plays a pregnant woman at the hospital she's at. Her husband, Seth Meyers. They learn through Sarah Paulson and her husband that the first baby born in the new year at this hospital, that family gets $25,000. So then this plot line is, how do we induce labor to make that money? And you'd think it'd be funny hijinks. But actually what it is like random facts about how to induce labor that may or may not be true. And Seth Meyers showing you why he went to late night. Because he can't act, and Beale seems really bored, and nobody in this scene is having any fun. And at the end of the day, the other family with Sarah Paulson gets the money because they have more kids, and Myers is like, I'm a good guy. I hate working like this, though. I think I don't want to do SNL. I think I don't want to do this. I think late night's for me. You can feel the gears turning in this guy's head, like, I don't want to act. This is miserable and stupid. And... maybe you're right, Seth. Maybe you're right. If you want to see Jessica Biel, like, pretend she's, like, having a baby, and it's like, oh, this is so painful. And then, like, her nurse is Carla Gugino, and she's, like a modern, like, ooh, it's all in, like, the aura and the feelings. We have to have positive vibes to make this work. Truly insane. Makes no sense. Alyssa Milano is also a nurse in this movie, and you're just like, how many nurses do we need for this movie? It's insufferable and annoying, and it's not the worst plot line, because the worst one is Ashton Kutcher and Lea Michele stuck in an elevator. Ashton Kutcher playing a comic book artist. He's an illustrator, and that sucks right away. He doesn't like New Year's Eve because it's like, it's stupid. It's not a real holiday. We celebrate being in love. He had his heart broken. Who gives a shit? He's trapped in an elevator with Lea Michele. She's a backup singer for Bon Jovi's Jensen. She has to get to the big show, and she's stuck with a guy who hates New Year's, and then she sings for him, and he's like, cool. And then what's my least favorite scene in a movie full of my least favorite scenes? Like, it's truly so stupid. But again, it's 2011. We're not at the era where comic books are respected. Not that they are now, because they're not, but we're not at the era where like comic book artists are like people that people like in like a big scale. So what does he do to show he's a comic book illustrator? He draws a girl being attacked by just a basic robot, like literally no skill. Like anybody could have drawn that picture. It does not prove he's a good artist at all. It is the simplest, most lazy design to show you that that's what people in this era, that's what Gary Marshall, 76-year-old dude, thinks a comic book looks like. Truly the most egregious thing. He learns at the end, though, that he loves the holiday or something stupid. I don't know. All right, we did Lea Michele, we did Sarah Jessica Parker, Halle Berry. Hector Elizondo plays Kaminsky. He's the guy that's got to fix the ball. It's kind of a racist role, but it's fine. Did Bon Jovi, did Sofia Vergara, did Ludacris, did Seth Meyers, did Ryan Seacrest. Penny Marshall's in this. She's pretty cool. Good to see that. We did Carla. Jake T. Austin, that's his name. That's the guy's name. Katherine McNamara is in this? Okay, sure. Sure, if you want to say that. I don't believe it. Who else is on here? Nobody else that really matters. Jim Belushi's the building super. Okay. I guess, look, if you want, we did Yeardley Smith. What a stupid movie. I just listed you a bunch of stupid plots. None of them would make a good movie if it was just that story. But if you combine all 7 or 8 of those plot lines, like Bon Jovi's a singer and he wanted to date a caterer and he proposed but he had to leave, and her staff's racistly weird because they're just comically stereotypical people, and it's stupid and insane. And then they flirt later and they get together. Everybody gets together. Everybody gets the happy ending kiss and whatever. And you just hate all of them for it. They're all the worst people you can imagine, getting everything they've ever wanted, and you just want them. The best part is when De Niro dies because there's closure in an actual real way, and that's really nice to know okay, he doesn't have to live in this insufferable world anymore. Truly, wholeheartedly, the most egregious, annoying, disturbed, stupid, arrogant film I have seen in a very long time, and I do not have any respect for it. I do not think it is funny. I was more off-put by the actions that are so comically stupid. Even for a stupid rom-com feeling movie, nothing made sense. Nothing in the universe felt real or organic or this is cheeky. It's just lazy. And I can sum that all up with John Lithgow sitting in his office playing Angry Birds, clearly aiming his phone. He aims it so poor that he should not be saying, I need to get the 3 pigs. You should not say that. You should say, oh, this shot sucked. I'm going to hit the wall because you're that bad at it. Truly an insane experience. But happy New Year's Eve, everyone. I hope you enjoy it. I hope this year was worth it for you. When we come back in the new year, I can guarantee we'll talk about better or worse movies depending on how you look at things. Probably better because they're not this. So thank you everyone for watching this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Happy New Year's Eve. Unless you're watching this later, then I'm sorry.